giving us his opinion on things from the G7 summit, sounding like a lunatic. You can't believe it. I'm going to stay away from it. I need a day without him. So let's take some callers. KAHI Radio, line 2. What's your point? Go ahead, please.
Hey, this is Lori, and this is a great conversation. I'm loving it. I'm a practicing artist, 37 years in the field. I make my living at it, and I mentor a lot of young people coming into the field, and I get really tired of the sense of entitlement they come into with, I went to art school, so I'm going to be discovered, and I don't have to pay my dues.
I get it.
Amazing. And I've stopped mentoring the ones like that. There are some young people.
You mean spoiled brats who think that the world owes them a living, in plain English?
Yes, I've got 2 college-age kids. It's absolutely nuts, and I wouldn't be where I am without the blessing of my husband and his support. But these little
but let's stick to creativity and psychosis for a moment. What's your opinion on that?
I think a lot of it's BS. I think it's very easy for someone to say, my mother-in-law had manic depression. I think it's very easy to say that, well, you've got this condition, so you're going to take these pills and it's going to make you better. It did not help her one bit. It did.
But sticking to art, the famous American artist Jackson Pollock suffered from alcoholism and depression. He had inner turmoil every day of his life. And his canvases reflected this inner turmoil, didn't it?
Oh, definitely. Most definitely.
Right. So in other words, what I'm saying is if he were alive today and he went to a shrink in Manhattan, the shrink would have put him on an antidepressive and would have suppressed his madness, so to speak, his turmoil, and he wouldn't have made the great Jackson Pollock paintings that we know.
I agree with you on that. I do agree with you on that, yes.
Okay, so what's the bottom line of this discussion? Is the world a better place because of Jackson Pollock's paintings? Or should this poor man have had his suffering diminished through medication?
I don't think the medication helps the suffering, so that's kind of a moot point in my...
Very good. I love your answer. Yes, if it was a magic bullet that necessarily cured the suffering, I don't think we would be having this discussion. But there have been too many suicides on these medications for me to believe that they're as useful as the medical pharmaceutical establishment would have us believe they are.
Oh, I agree. They don't make patients, they make money. They don't care.
Well, my artist friend, I'm sending you my novel, Countdown to Mecca. I realize it's not as good as Hemingway, but I would say that the descriptions in my novel of San Francisco are as good as any ever written in any novel that I've ever read, and I've read a lot of novels. And I really don't need a newspaper to tell me what I know to be a fact myself. My descriptions of the bay and the streets and, as background for what goes on in this city of ours are as good as any ever written, and I'm very proud of that. And I like the clown and I like the hooker. By the way, did anyone ever see the Humphrey Bogart movie, Dark Passage? Raise your hand if you know what I'm talking. If you're a film noir lover, as I am. Do you remember the 1947 movie with Humphrey Bogart and Laura Bacall? I think it was for her first starring role. She was 22 years old. And they both, he lives, it's about a man falsely accused of killing his wife. And he comes out, he wants to clear his name. So he goes and has surgery, if you remember the movie. And he appears in bandages. His face is in bandages before he's actually introduced to the audience. It's very clever how they did it, because if they had introduced him before the surgery, he'd be the same man after. But you didn't see his face till after the bandages were removed. Anyway, the movie largely takes place in her apartment, which is in the Moloch Building on Telegraph Hill on Montgomery Street. I think it's 1360 Montgomery. It was a great Art Deco building. It still is. It's a little run down now. I almost bought an apartment there 20 years ago, but like everything else, I almost didn't. Yeah, it only went up about 50 times. But nevertheless, the Moloch Building is where it took place, and it's next to the Filbert Street steps in San Francisco, which are wooden steps which run all the way down Telegraph Hill, down to Battery Street, okay? And these steps go through gardens and little wooden houses dating back to the Gold Rush era. So there's a very famous scene in Dark Passage that I saw years ago. How many of you have read Countdown to Mecca and found that scene in my book? Because I used the Moloch Building for the locale where the clown Sammy and the hooker Anastasia live. And then I used the Filbert Street steps for a chase scene where the CIA is chasing the heroes down those steps. And it's amazing. It's well done. And I envision this book eventually becoming a film, and it's being redone and reshot today. I think it'll be a very exciting scene in the filmic world. Countdown to Mecca, if ever there's a filmmaker who wants to make it and there's the budget to do so. KKOH Radio, KKOH in Reno. Welcome to the Savage Nation. Go ahead, please.
Michael, Dark Passage was on just the other night, so I did see it.
Yes, it was on Friday night. That's when I saw it again. I can't believe it.
As did I. Now, I'm a third of the way through Countdown to Mecca. Are you referring to your scene in the beginning when the CIA agents, like in the first three chapters, that chase?
No, I don't think that it's there. I don't remember, actually. I'm sorry to tell you. I haven't reread my book in a while, but isn't it toward the end that they're running down onto the Embarcadero and one of them gets hit by a trolley car?
That's right. Yep.
Yeah, I love that. I love those old trolley cars on the Embarcadero, and how in one of the chase scenes, one of the men tries to kill Anastasia and she loses a shoe and she's running across the Embarcadero and he's about to shoot her when he loses his sense of where he is, and then one of the trolley cars hits him and kills him. It's a nice scene.
Too much.
It's a nice scene. It would make for a very good scene in a movie, I guarantee you. So what are we calling about today, my friend? What are you calling about?
Friend, you and I have spoken before. We talk about your dreams. Anyway, I'm a psychologist, but here's the thing.
Oh, you're the famous radio psychologist who interprets the white owl for me in other dreams.
Well, no, I'm not the white owl one. I'm the other one. I talked to you about your children, et cetera, but this was quite a while ago. So there are a few of us out here.
Well, today is a very warm day. We have a high-pressure zone sitting over San Francisco. Temperatures are going to be in the hundreds in inland and probably closer to the 80s in San Francisco, and the bay is calm. And right after the radio show, I'm going to jump on a ferry to inhale the salt air. And I didn't dream that. I'm going to do it.
Well, very therapeutic.
It is, because I want to absorb those dangerous waves that are being disseminated by the Obama administration.
Let's not even bring him up. But, Michael, seriously, I want to share something with you. I suffered with unipolar depression since a young age.
Hold on. What is unipolar as opposed to bipolar?
As opposed to bipolar. Right. So unipolar meaning depression. No elation.
Oh, you were down. You were down all the time. That's very sad.
In my office, I'm looking at it right now to give you a little kick. But
wait, hold. What are you looking at right now?
I've got it right here, and it's a copy I made. Obviously, I laminated it, and
Wait, ma'am. You a copy of what?
I'm losing it.
Wait, you're not hearing me. A copy of what?
Oh, the Scream picture.
Oh, the painting I mentioned a few minutes ago.
But mine is a woman screaming.
And who painted it?
I have no idea. I copied it out of a magazine many years ago. I laminated it.
So how did you get out of your unipolar depression?
Okay. Listen to how. Number one, I was threatened with ECT because there was nothing else going to help me after years of therapy. I was so scared. It jolted me out of it. And not only did it jolt me out of it, I then came back to understanding that faith in God, faith in the universe, faith in a higher power was the only thing that was going to cure me. And that was probably 5 years ago. And I'm okay today.
Wait, hold on now. This is very important. You were so afraid of electroshock therapy that you found God, in essence.
Side effects. As I pondered and, perused articles on what the side effects were, it scared the hell out of me. And I said, I can't do this. I got too much going on in my life, even though I was depressed.
Did you have children at the time?
Something in my brain?
Ma'am, did you have children at the time?
No, I don't have children. I'm divorced. I don't have children.
I asked for a very important reason, but go on. Please continue.
Sure. So after that, I began studying, I will say, with a rabbi because I am Jewish. And in the last 5 years, I have been just fine. Not only that, I have built a business. And in fact, you and I have talked about it. I won't.
So what you're saying to the audience at large is that you can escape mental illness with different methods, and methods different than drugs in some cases. Isn't that what you're saying?
That's what I'm saying, and I want to tell you the other techniques I use right now with depressed children. Other than any drugs, I use cognitive behavioral therapy. I teach them this. I teach them something called tapping. Also, emotional freedom technique is the name of it. It's called tapping. I use guided imagery, and we do what you do, Michael, journaling.
But do you do massive doses of B vitamins in any case?
Yes, the orthomolecular therapy is...
Oh, thank God you didn't say no. I never heard of it. I'm so glad you said orthomolecular therapy, because I don't know how people can't understand how therapeutic the B vitamins can be.
Not only those. How about all the amino acids, Michael?
Have you tried magnesium in any of the children?
Not with I got to tell you something. I can only recommend. I cannot prescribe. So all I can do is recommend, and I find that people are so highly resistant. They would rather go to a psychiatrist.
Yeah, and they'd rather go to a psychiatrist and put the child on a major league antidepressive than trust you.
I don't know that it's a matter of trust. It's a matter of choice. But
well, it's easier. It's simpler for them. The mother doesn't have to think. She doesn't want to know that maybe by taking her little beautiful daughter to Starbucks for a donut, for a frappuccino at 7 in the morning, she's actually inducing some of these problems. I'll be right back.
Join the Savage Nation. Call now, 855-400-SAVAGE, 855-400-7282. Savage.
My Savage Nation is sponsored by SwissAmerica.com. It's the only company I trust to protect my wealth. Call 800-BUY-COIN. So I'm going to read a few pieces from Mecca. One of my new characters is a nutty professor by the name of Bernie Peters. And he's based on someone I actually know. And Professor Bernie Peters is a bona fide genius, Jack told Doc. And he said, I know that name. I can't place it. Former childhood prodigy, finished his dissertation at 18, worked in the nuclear weapons industry for more than 40 years. Peters lived in a small rustic log cabin tucked into a corner of the preserve, but he wasn't there when Jack and Doc arrived in the minivan. Jack acted as if it were business as usual. So they're looking for him out on the beach. And here's a guy who worked on the W-53 Titan II warhead, knows everything about physics and knows about politics, works for the CIA, and they said he's a little loony. And Doc says, well, how so? Well, he believes in UFOs. He writes long papers about mind travel. He likes to roam the wild peninsula, communing with the deer and the trees. Jack stopped and pointed. The subject of their conversation was sitting on a rock formation marked by a red furry algae. Doc took his first look at Professor Peters. Good day, Professor, Jack said. Trentophilia was the first thing he said as the two approached. He pointed at the rocks. Spores of this algae cause blood rain in Kerala. That's in Countdown to Mecca. In case you don't know what I'm capable of, read it.